Guys, welcome back. So today we're going to bring you follow-on from a test we had done a good few months ago.
A couple months ago.
So we had done like a comparison in the store of our kind of top-selling tour weight shafts. So we had the Dynamic Gold Tour issue, the Modus 120, the Project X
6.5, I think.
6.5, and I think the other one we might have done was a Project X. The Modus 130.
Yeah, we did
Modus
Modus 130.
Right.
Yep.
So we've done all the sort of that being our most popular sort of shafts. Today we're going to do one that I think is going to be more appropriate for you guys, something that more people will be able to get some kind of value from, and that's the lightweight shaft test.
Right.
Not just steel. Well, this time, last time we done just steel shaft. This time we're actually going to add some graphite in there as well, because we do at the 100-105 gram range, which is what we're going to test today. We do find graphite starts to creep in a little bit as an option at that point.
I also think that the video we did, steel versus graphite, generated a lot of interest in
Definitely.
whether it would be appropriate. And from my perspective, it kind of sold me on the idea that it was a good idea for more people than might think so. So it's good that we've added it in this one.
I've actually had, since we've done that video, I've had several customers come in and request to try graphite based on seeing that video.
Oh, very cool.
So they now are, the barriers are down a little bit. The guard is down against graphite being, less consistent, too unpredictable, all that sort of stuff to go on. That graphite sounds like it's well worth trying. Can we make sure we try that today, and we can do some testing? So
that's great.
That's where we're going to do some testing against the steel stuff again. So the four we've chosen today are Project X PXI.
PXI.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
the shaft
5.0. So all of these are regular flicks that we've chosen. So this is the 5.0. We have the Modus 105, really popular in the store. We do an awful lot with
You
this
like
shaft.
these quite a bit, don't you?
I love the Modus shaft. Love the line 105, 120, 130 are great. The Project X LZ, we've got the 5.0, which is 110 grams. Again, another very popular one, and the last but not least, the Accra 105 constant weight.
Right, and we tried the 110 when we did our video.
I think it was. Yeah.
So similar, but a little lighter weight than that.
Yeah, and the difference being, I think we've talked a little bit about this in some of the videos, is constant weight versus descending weight.
You mentioned it once, yeah.
Yeah. So the shafts are all from the pitching wedge 98765. They're all the same weight,
which makes a lot of sense.
So throughout, rather than taking 7 blank shafts and obviously cutting them more as you get down to the shorters and decreasing the weight of them, which I'm not a huge fan of. So you done your testing, and give us a little kind of rundown as to kind of how they felt when you hit them.
So we aimed for around 80 miles an hour swing speed with the 6-iron. So we're flying at just under 150,
which we kind of average right now on out there is about 81. So we
were trying to be right there.
there.
Feel-wise, they had some subtle differences. So I felt a little more active tip section in a couple of them. I think the Modus probably had the stiffest tip section in my feeling.
From your feel?
Just from my feel.
Okay.
And it kind of felt like the PXI and the Accra just were, I guess, a little bit easier to elevate. Felt like I got a little bit more spin out of them, whereas the load zone and the Modus were just a little stiffer. But I don't think a massive difference in feel. And certainly the graphite didn't feel loose or whippy in any way. It was quite consistent with the feel of the other ones.
With the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's kind of dive over to the numbers and kind of see what we saw. Launch angles were not terribly dissimilar. Project X load zone was the lowest launch at 16.8.
Right.
Modus 105 was the highest launch at 18. So about a degree or so between our highest and lowest there. Not an awful lot.
Not much. No.
Not much to kind of talk about.
And certainly could just as easily been from a little swing variance.
Definitely.
Me, right? Yeah.
Yep. Spin rates, 4,400 up to 4,600 was our 200 RPM sort of variance on that.
Gotcha.
Again, Project X load zone being the lowest there. So,
is that what you generally see in your fits?
Well, I mean, I think compared to these other three, the load zone would be considered the strongest of that,
Gotcha.
that little category.
Little extra weight you mentioned as well, about 5 grams.
5 grams extra, and that's just going to beef that up a little bit more. So guys, normally the kind of steel shafts normally work that way. The more material, the stiffer they get.
Gotcha.
Okay, so graphite can be a little bit more variable. You can go lightweight but super stiff. That's based on the different types of graphite you can use.
Yep.
When it comes to steel, it's like I've talked about a little bit, it's a bit of a one-dimensional material.
Yeah.
In that it's just a case of if you want it to be lighter, you got to take away the mass.
Yes.
So unless you can really vary the wall thickness in certain parts of the shaft, you're going to be stuck with a fairly kind of one-dimensional sort of bend profile.
And that's what you had mentioned before with it's going to be hard to see on camera, but the wall thickness in the tip of this shaft,
Correct.
quite thick compared to these.
Extremely.
Because it's so much lighter in material, they're able to do that.
That's exactly. You add more of it, you take more of it away. That's kind of how you play with those a little bit.
Interesting.
Exactly. So ball speed wise, interestingly, the graphite shaft was quite a bit quicker.
Yeah,
well, quite a bit. It was the quickest.
Full mile an hour.
It was a mile an hour quicker. It launched and spun a little bit more, so you probably got a little more out of that one than the other ones. You definitely see the purple trajectory was just a fraction, higher and a little longer than the other ones.
Yeah,
not much.
But at this speed, this was the best fit, let's say, for the particular delivery that we were hitting in speed. But it didn't, really didn't feel loose and whippy to give you that extra little bit of launch and spin, which is a nice feature.
For sure. And they're so well designed, the graphite shafts, like we said, the intricacy of how you can get into that, to manipulate that bend profile. You have so much more sort of design input that you can impart on a graphite versus a steel.
Right.
So interesting. So I think the takeaway, Matt, is that if you're looking for the shaft to wildly vary the launch conditions, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree to some degree.
For the most part. I mean, we've taken 4 really popular shafts and shown a pretty minimal difference between them all.
And we were using the new AP2 head. So if you wanted a much higher ball flight,
right,
for example, or some more spin, you're going to find that result from going to something with a wider sole, a lower CG, something like that, versus trying to alter it drastically with the shaft.
Exactly. So trying to go maybe, guys, and retrofit your own iron set to completely overhaul your ball flight by making a shaft change. Unless you're going on extremes of going from extreme heavy to extreme light or vice versa, you're probably not going to see a massive difference.
In actual numbers.
In actual, exactly, actual numbers themselves. The biggest thing is going to be finding the right head shaft combination.
Right.
That's going to be the key. Obviously, like we always talk about, the shaft is a timing sort of device, and that's where all of these are playing their part. Matt said that you felt a little bit more kick with some versus others. That's the bit that matters.
The way the shaft is balanced, I guess, the way the weight is distributed would make a big difference in that.
For sure.
In that feel. I think there's no doubt, if you went and demoed all 4 of these, you would like one of them more than the others.
For sure.
But I don't think that the actual TrackMan or GC Quad numbers would be, oh, this one's amazing comparatively. Yeah. I think you'd hit one more consistently than the others.
I think this type of test, I'm really excited for us to be able to do this type of test on gears.
Yes.
So that when we look at it, we're looking at the shaft in motion and not just the resulting sort of ball flight.
Gotcha.
There's certain parts of this, guys, that we're not able to describe to you right now because we're not able to show the twist and droop and rotation of the golf club the way we will be able to when we have our gear system. So that's something where we have a bunch of these tests that we can sort of revisit and go into this in a little bit more detail. And I'm sure there'll be things for us that come out there and we go, wow, didn't can expect to see that happen.
I mean, for now, obviously your expertise and experience with fits is a lot of where, and also the design, I guess, characteristics of the shafts is where we can kind of make the assumptions. But once we have the raw data from gears, it will be cool to sort of see how those stack up to what we've expected to happen. It
will. It really, really will. Definitely. Okay, guys. These are 4 of the more popular ones. If you haven't tried, sort of, you know, any of these four, I would suggest, you know, these are our top four in the lightweight 105 gram category in our store. Go over them again: Project X PXI, Modus 105, Project X LZ, and the Accra 105. Really, I would really suggest trying those guys out. That's certainly the best. And we've actually just added to that line. I was just telling Matt, actually, we've just brought in some new shafts. We've brought in some from Shimada, which is a sort of Japanese manufactured steel shaft, and Oban as well. And
Oban shafts, yeah, which is cool. And we've had questions about those in the woods. So you've seen some value in the iron shafts, obviously, bringing them in the shop.
And we'll save the real juicy details for the actual video when we launch those ones in a couple of weeks. We're going to have it in this week, and we want to get a couple of weeks under our belt, really working closely with it, and then we can obviously bring you guys some testing results based knowledge and some actual kind of you know, design characteristics of those as well.
The Shimada's got to be a new name for most people. I hadn't heard of it at all. Oban, obviously, people will know the graphite shafts.
From the graphite, exactly.
The one quick thing, if you can touch on, if someone was looking for a comparable dynamic gold shaft to demo, I know these are your performance favorites.
Right.
If you're at a demo day or if you're at a fitting and there's a comparable dynamic gold product, what would it be?
You've got sort of probably the most comparable to these guys would probably be the XP line.
Okay, XPs.
Probably would be the most comparable.
They come in a few different weights.
They come in 95 all the way up to 115.
Right.
So that would probably be the one that the guys are most familiar with. So DG 105, you know, probably in there as well. But probably between those two. We were going to do some testing, weren't we, with the older SL line?
Yeah, but we wanted to keep it to something that's available. We want to keep it current. Yeah. But in terms of, you know, your experience with builds and technology, these are the ones that you know are the most consistent and they offer the most technology for the money and stuff like that, which is why you recommend them.
That's it. These are where we can know we get our best results.
Awesome. No, this is great.
Good. Guys, hopefully this was kind of insightful in that, you know, this is really where most of you are sort of living right now in terms of your shaft choices. Your swing speed will mean that one of these shafts is probably right for a really large section of the people watching this video. If you know your club speeds, for the guy who's around 90 miles an hour with a driver and 80 miles an hour with a six-iron, there's normally about a 10 mile an hour separation between those two. This is kind of this is where you should be looking. You know, for the most part, there might be some differences in your feel. You might prefer lighter or might prefer heavier, so you might go either side of this weight category. But this is roughly where most people will be.
It's a good starting point to go get fit.
Exactly, which is always the point, isn't it? Yeah. You know, that's why we're not really, you know, we're not really pulling one out as the favorite here because ultimately there's just you can never say that a shaft is going to be the best at this or the best at that. It just depends how you hit it when you test it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. Guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.